Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the MK2 Escort Project. In this episode we're going to be cleaning a few bits, welding a few bits on bit permanently. We've had a delivery of some new parts. This is for the radiator cutout, the bottom part, so that's turned up. The 2.4 heavy duty quick rack has turned up, and the anti-tramp bucket, which we're going to get welded into place. To start the episode, we're going to clean up and give this axle a bit of paint. We're not going to powder coat the back axle because I didn't really want to go through the process of stripping it right back and everything. So the axle's usable, fresh coat of paint, get the job done. So we're just going to start by stripping a few bits off the axle so we can get the wire wheel on here to give it a bit of clean. So let's get cracking. I'll give it a wire brush, got all the loose stuff off. I'd give it a spray with some degreaser and everything, give it a wash off. Just going to give it a first coat of this apparently it's non-primed matte black paint, but give it a coat, see where we're at, leave it until the morning and check on it then. So I've just given this a first coat of that paint. Apparently it's just paint straight on without any primer. Like I said guys, I'm not going mental with the underside of this at the moment, as I explained in the previous video. Just going to get it usable, use it over the summer, and then things like this I will come back to and address, because in the future we will be converting from drum to a disc brake back axle. So at that point I probably will get the full axle powder coated and make it a little bit better. But for the moment, just want to make it look better than what it was. I think next we're going to go on to welding the radiator panel in, because once this is done I can chuck a bit of etch primer over it and a bit of white paint to get that in, and then move on to the next job on the list. So we're just going to try and fit this. I already just briefly tried to fit it and this was catching, so that will slot down immediately. But something along the lines of this part here we're going to have to modify. So that will sit roughly there. So now we're just going to give it a quick clean up. I don't really need to grind back much of the welds. Just chuck a little bit of seam sealer over it, and then that is one job ticked off the list. So just give everything I've welded a quick bit of seam sealer. Not too sure if it'll make any difference, but I suppose every little helps. When I was wire wheeling that clean, I just give that area and that area a quick wire wheel, just purely because when the brackets go back in, they were a little bit rusty, and until I come to actually do the total underside of the car, I just want a bit of protection on there. I'll probably give it a couple of coats just to make sure everything's okay. I think next we're going to try and fit the back axle so we can put the anti-tramp bars on here. Not too sure the anti-tramp bars mount, so this is a learning curve for me as well. So we've just fitted the poly bushers to the new leaf springs. These are single leaf, and according to the spec sheet, they are Group 1 work spec, £146, and they're decambered. I'm not too sure what the decambered part means, but apparently they're what I need if I want to go quite low on the back end. The axle's already got lowering blocks welded onto it as well, so that should help a bit. Just put the spring hangers in loosely, so pretty lucky that they haven't gone off the powder coating yet. So we'll just lift these springs on and then get the axle on it then. So the battery went flat when I was just putting the springs up, but didn't really miss much. That spring's now in place. Just got just some bolts in just to hold it in position, and then you got to put the spring pads up there, and then next thing to do will be to lift the axle on, bolt the axle into place, and then we can use line up the anti-tramp bars wherever I put them. Yeah, so these brackets in here, they need to be welded to the chassis. Like I said, I'm not particularly sure they need to be welded too, so we'll put the axle up and then go from there. So with a bit of help I lifted the axle in because it's a heavy old beast. It's just resting in place at the moment. So these are the anti-tramp bar brackets. They fit up in this location here. We're gonna have to do a bit of modifying because it doesn't fit flush against the chassis leg because of a captive nut. So I'm sure people do just weld them in place like this, but there's a big gap there, big gap here, big gap there. Not too happy with the fitment. So we're gonna put a hole saw there to clear the captive nut and then trim this bracket down and make a better fit. So we're just about to do the hole saw for the bracket. Punch them first. So there's the holes, both drilled. So now just get a better look at how the brackets are going to fit. There you go. That's a lot better, but there just needs a bit more trimming on this position just to get that fit a little bit more flush, but job done. So I've just mounted up the anti-tramp bars to the axle itself. We're going to position the axle in the correct place and then mount it to the bracket just to make sure the bracket is bang on where it needs to be. Because the spring perch is missing, I haven't actually got any location pin on top of the spring. So what I've done is fitted a riv nut, and I'm going to run an M8 bolt up through the hole just so I know that the axle is square on the springs. Just got some bolts to loosely put in here for now. And before anyone comments, I know this isn't going to stop the axle from moving, that's the U-bolts and stuff involved, but this will purely help me locate it into the correct position. So now we know that that will be the correct position to weld at. Just going to quickly do the same with that side, and then I've just had a thought, which overlooked me for some reason, that I'm going to have to pull the carpet out, or the seat out inside. So I won't record doing that because I got to climb upstairs, but just bear with me a minute. Sorry I didn't record welding this in, guys. I couldn't really find a nice place for the camera to go while I was welding it. I did struggle welding some bits of it because no matter how much you clean it, it just wouldn't even, well, it just kept spitting at me, to be fair. I know my welding's not the best in some places, but it is solid, and that is not coming off there. I didn't bother trying to fill them big gaps full of weld because you're just building up weld on top of weld, really. But it is in there. What I'm going to do is just run some seam sealer over the welds and a couple of the joints just to give it a bit of extra protection. And then we'll give it a coat of primer, and that is another job ticked off the list. So then we'll just move on to the next job on the list. Right guys, that's the repairing the floor done and seam sealed. I've also chucked a bit of seam sealer, or a lot of seam sealer around both anti-tramp bar mounts just to give it extra bit of protection. Sorry I haven't recorded much because I find it really hard to place the camera somewhere and do the welding, and plus there's not really a lot to see, so I'm not too sure how this episode's going to pan out after I've edited everything together, but we're going to call it an episode beer. So any comments, just chuck them in the box below, and if you like it, just make sure you click the like, share and subscribe. Cheers guys.